Even though Dwight Davidson and Randy King both grew up in Kellyville, they didn't know each other until now. They believe both their fathers contracted the same rare and devastating illness.
Yeah, they probably didn't live 7 miles from each other.
Both described their fathers as tough guys, and for them to get sick at all was unusual.
He was just physically a bull of a man, always had been.
He was an extremely active man.
But one day, Randy noticed his dad, Donald King, was having trouble remembering things. That's when Randy took his dad to St. John Medical Center in Tulsa.
They did every test on the man, and everything just kept coming back good.
The rapid deterioration of Donald's mind and body baffled doctors, so they flew him to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. Specialists there diagnosed Donald with something Randy had never heard of, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD.
I asked her what that was, and she said a cousin of mad cow disease. Kind of stunned. I thought, wow, how would he have possibly got, CJD?
CJD is often referred to as the human form of mad cow disease. Tulsa neurologist Dr. Rodney Meyer says the disease attacks the nervous system, causing holes in the brain until it looks like a sponge, which causes devastating and fatal effects.
Problems with walking, problems with sort of jerking of the extremities, and ultimately a dementia.
Dr. Meyer says the disease is difficult to trace because symptoms may not show up for years.
We could have 1 million people infected with something right now and wouldn't know it for another decade.
But once symptoms show up, CJD is a quick killer.
Now, there's no treatment for it at all.
Randy lost his dad just weeks later.
It's something you don't want to experience.
Dwight's dad, Jimmy Davidson, started complaining about feeling confused. Doctors told his family that Jimmy had Alzheimer's.
Quite honestly, we didn't buy that.
They, too, took him to St. John. After a series of tests, neurologists diagnosed Dwight's father with CJD.
And you realize that Dad's personality, that which makes your father, was just disappearing.
By the time he left the hospital, Jimmy was comatose. He died a few days later at home. Dwight and Randy both fear their fathers may have caught CJD by eating contaminated meat. The U.S. Department of Agriculture randomly tests cattle for mad cow disease, but less than 1% of all cows slaughtered. Some experts believe CJD may also come from eating meat from diseased animals like deer and elk. Randy and Dwight say their fathers both ate wild game. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife hasn't seen the disease in deer, but tells hunters who process their own meat to be extremely careful. Ricky Hall is a butcher in Collinsville.
And the favorite part of everybody's deer is right here. This is back straps.
Cut the spinal cord and you contaminate the meat.
I believe it'll kill you.
These sons will never know if contaminated meat killed their fathers. The only way to know for sure is with an autopsy, and they didn't get one. Randy and Dwight say doctors never encouraged an autopsy after their fathers died. If you would have known then what you know now, would you have gotten an autopsy?
Definitely. I would have had an autopsy.
What would your dad say about all this?
He would say, we need to look into this and try to determine what's going on here so someone else doesn't have to suffer.